Well, hi everyone. It's Alex Miolides here, and I apologize I cannot be there in person, but thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the John K. Friesen conference. I've attended it before for many years. I remember when it started up when I was a postdoc in gerontology there with Gloria, and I have very fond memories. So I'm always happy to be able to come back and contribute to this conference and to the great work that's happening at Simon Fraser in the area of aging. So today I want to give you a brief update in terms of what's happening with the AgeWell Network, Canada's technology and aging network as seen here, and talk about a little about where we're currently at as a network and what's happening and where we're going with things. So first off, not to spend a lot of time on this, but AgeWell's vision is basically that Canada's leadership in technology and aging benefits the world. And this vision is not just about AgeWell as a network, but as our mission says, it's about a community of researchers, older adults, caregivers, partners, and future leaders that helps us to meet this vision and also helps all of our partners, such as all of you at Simon Fraser University, to meet your specific goals. So very quickly, AgeWell has grown very, very quickly, and we've been in existence since 2015, and AgeWell was started by myself and my fellow panelist here, Dr. Andrew Sixsmith. These numbers are as of October 2022 and are already outdated, but you can see some very significant numbers with respect to the size and scope of our network, the output in terms of publications, our number of partners, and the number of solutions that's been developed. But the number I always like to point out here is the 5,000 plus engaged older adults and caregivers in the network. And these are not subjects or research participants. These are individuals who actually are part of the research teams contributing in a very significant way. And so we're very, very proud of that fact. In terms of some of our key programs, you may all know about our EPIC program, which is our training program in order to prepare the innovators of tomorrow. We have put through this program over 1,300 highly qualified personnel, and you see what we mean by HQP here in this particular slide. And again, the impressive aspect of this is that we have trained individuals from over 98 institutions, and this is across 11 countries. Now, the other thing to point out here is that we have 20 startups that are actually run by HQP that have gone through AgeWell. And so this, again, in my mind, is quite impressive that we are not just training future academics in this area, but future innovators and entrepreneurs. Now, in terms of some key recent highlights, we did run our National Impact Challenge last year, where we had various startups apply to this program and give pitches at our national conference. And you see the two winners here. Very, very interesting companies. The Heard That app, which was a runner-up, I actually use myself in very noisy environments, and it helps me to get rid of that background noise and actually hear what conversation may be. And as I'll mention later on, we have a National Impact Challenge happening this year as well. We've added partners. Our partner numbers continue to grow, and you see here that, for example, from British Columbia, we have the BC Care Providers Association that has joined, and then we also have some other companies that are not just here in Canada, but also international as well. We also have 4 national innovation hubs, and each hub focuses on key aspects. We're very proud of the hub that started at Simon Fraser University called Circle Innovation. We also then have other hubs that look at things such as practice and policy, such as APTA. And then we also have another one in British Columbia, CTAN, which looks at the role of technology in northern communities and with Indigenous partners as well. And this is one, as you can imagine, is extremely important to AgeWell, as we want to have a presence coast to coast to coast. Now, one of the biggest changes, and may come as a surprise to some of you who are part of AgeWell, is we're actually starting to transition our host institution. So we are now moving from University Health Network in Toronto Rehab and actually into the University of Toronto, where we have become one of their institutional strategic initiatives. And this initiative really is for the university to support large-scale, high-impact, interdisciplinary research, such as what we're doing at AgeWell. Now, the thing I want to stress here is just because we're based at the University of Toronto doesn't mean we're just focusing on the University of Toronto. We are still going to be a national network. We are still going to be an incorporated not-for-profit and still running our own operations. This is just a place, again, where we can take advantage of some backdoor, back office aspects such as human resources, their government relations office, and also their advancement office. And in fact, their advancement office has already resulted in a $500,000 donation to AgeWell to continue to support our HTP and entrepreneurial activities. I also like to just remind everyone, or those who don't know, that AgeWell does have a category, our highest honor, which is our Honorary Fellow Awards. Last year, we awarded it to Roger Marple, who was a strong supporter of AgeWell, was part of our AgeWell Older Adult and Caregiver Advisory Committee, and unfortunately passed away a few months ago. And so we are very happy to be able to award this honor to Roger before we lost a very, very dear friend. We also established another memorial award, again, for a strong supporter of AgeWell, a great gerontologist, a former member of the Gerontology Research Center, Simon Fraser University, and that's Dr. Karen Kobayashi. And so now we have the Karen Kobayashi Memorial Award in Technology and Aging, which people can apply to. And again, this is to honor a dear friend. And in fact, when I started as a postdoc with Gloria back at Simon Fraser University in 2002 or around there, Karen was the first person I met. So obviously, again, dear friend that we lost from our community. One of the key things for AgeWell that we want to continue to build upon is our stakeholder engagement. And so we have implemented a new program called Connections Conversations. And again, this is an opportunity for our researchers across the network, for our various member institutions, such as Simon Fraser University, to participate in these stakeholder engagement offerings and really to have these direct conversations about age tech, practice policy, service delivery, or whatever else it may be. So this is a program we're very proud of that has been implemented. Now to turn to the future of Canadian age tech and AgeWell. Some of you may know that our federal funding from the Network of Center of Excellence, or the NCE program, ends as of March 2024. AgeWell is not ending. AgeWell is safe. AgeWell will continue to support the age tech sector, researchers, industry, and even grow several of our programs. And the way we're looking at things is obviously, first of all, by grounding ourselves in the age tech sector in specific areas. And that's where the AgeWell challenge areas come up. And this came through a year-long consultation that myself and Andrew Sixsmith led for the network, where we spoke to over 2,000 older people and caregivers and asked a simple question, what is challenging in terms of growing older in Canada, and where can technology help to make those challenges a bit easier? And through a process where we started up with over 200 areas, we got down to the 8 challenge areas here, and you can go to our AgeWell website and download the Future of Technology Aging Research in Canada and read more about these. But essentially, these are the areas that AgeWell is going to focus on. These are the areas that we are asking our partners to focus on. And in fact, these challenge areas have been adopted by several of our partners around the world. So this is a piece of work, again, that was really, really important to help the entire age tech sector and not just AgeWell as an organization. Now we have some seminars coming up, again, with various panels. This one is on technology for health, how age tech can help promote healthy lifestyles and wellness. Again, featuring one of my co-panelists here, Andrew. And, these webinar series are very important. And these have been going on for many, many years. And I really encourage people to attend them and to sign up for our mailing list so you can hear when these webinars happen, because we really try to bring as many strong experts together on various topics. And if there's a topic that you would like to see AgeWell focus on as well in terms of this webinar, just feel free to reach out to us. Now, one of the big things as we move forward is trying to define what Canada's aging innovation ecosystem looks like. And again, after a lot of consultation, you see this diagram here, which looks fairly complicated, but at the end of the day is really based on the key pillars of research, capacity building, and technology adoption, or the adoption of outcomes in policy research, et cetera. This is encircled obviously by our stakeholders, and this is all within the lens of equity, diversity, and inclusion. So if you pull out of here those three pillars, what AgeWell really needs to focus on as we move forward, it comes down to obviously continue to support great research, keep that pipeline filled with great innovations and outcomes, capacity building, so that is building the future leaders of the age tech sector, and then really moving things forward with respect to taking all the great innovations that AgeWell supported over the past 12 years or so, and now moving them out, getting them out of the research labs and really getting them adopted. So in terms of how AgeWell is moving forward across those different pillars, and as I mentioned, our NCE money ends in about 10 months from now. But we've been very active in terms of securing additional funding to support each of those pillars. So first off, with respect to training, we receive funding through the CIHR Health Research Training Platform. And so this will continue to support our EPIC program and even extend the EPIC program across the entire continuum of care now, not just within the community. And so here, this is secure funding through 2026, 2027. So again, we're very excited that the EPIC program will be continuing. With respect to that innovation and adoption aspect, we have partnered with another NCE, MedTech Plus, based out of Quebec. And together we received funding from the Strategic Initiative Fund, SIF, round 5, so SIF 5, to develop a new network called Envisage. And the whole point of this new network and collaboration between AgeWell and MedTech Plus is that we are now going to set up what we're calling beachheads across the entire country, which will allow for innovators and startups to actually implement their technologies, gather the information they require. And our goal is that by the end of the next 5 years, we will establish 100 brand new companies in the area of age tech. So a very lofty goal, but one that is needed in order to establish Canada as a world leader. The other initiative is, again, partnered with another NCE, and this is the Canadian Frailty Network. And this is a new pillar under our programs that we call Healthy Aging Canada. And Healthy Aging Canada is really meant to do two things. It's one, a new umbrella organization to help bring together a lot of the organizations that are working in this space, but not only in age tech. The reason why we partner with the Canadian Frailty Network is because we want to bring a new approach and a new lens to the work that we're doing as well. So we're going to be looking at not only age tech, as I mentioned, but we're going to be looking at practice and policy. We're going to be looking at clinical outcomes and how we can improve those, and many other topics as well. So this is something that we've applied to the federal government for. We're still waiting to hear back on whether we receive the funding. We're very, very hopeful. And if this funding comes through, this will help to establish secure funding for researchers in the healthy aging space for the next 5+ years. And so if everyone can cross their fingers for us and stay tuned. But this is a really fantastic new initiative between AgeWell and the Canadian Frailty Network. So finally, how can people get involved? As I said, we're not going anywhere. AgeWell will continue to be active. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we have our new National Impact Challenge coming up. That's on June 22nd, 2023. This will be here in Toronto, but I think we're also looking at an online channel that you can also access to see the National Impact Challenge and to see the pitches and the companies that are coming through. And again, this is sponsored by both AgeWell and SE Health, or St. Elizabeth Health, as it used to be known. And so we're very appreciative to them. The big one, though, is we're coming back in person again here in Toronto for our annual AgeWell conference, but it's getting bigger. And now it's going to be the Age Tech Innovation Week. It'll be a week-long set of events and activities. Not only our AgeWell conference, where you get to see the outcomes of our projects and hear from our great students and meet our startups and our partners, but there'll also be additional sessions that are being run by many of our partners, our other organizations. You'll hear a lot more about Healthy Aging Canada. You'll hear about Envisage, as our partners will be there to talk about them. And it's just a great way to get involved. So again, save the date, October 23rd to 27th, and I hope to see many of you there. Finally, there's also then, as I mentioned, within that Age Tech Innovation Week, the AgeWell Annual Conference itself. And this year is titled The Future of Healthy Aging, because as you can see, again, we're moving more towards that Healthy Aging Canada model. And so we wanted to explore this within our conference. So again, if you can't make the whole Age Tech Innovation Week, come for the 2 days of our annual conference. And with that, I thank you very much. Here is our information if you want to get in touch with us. And also follow us on social media, where you get a lot of updates. Again, I apologize I cannot be there in person. I hope this presentation was informative for everyone. And with that, I wish you all well, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or comments. Thanks very much, and take care. And I hope to be back at Simon Fraser University very soon. As I said, my old stomping grounds to see everyone and to be there once again. Take care.
Okay, thanks everybody. Good afternoon. My name's Andrew Sixsmith. I'm Professor of Gerontology here at SFU, and also the Director of the Science and Technology for Aging Research Institute, and previous Director of the Gerontology Research Center. I just want to actually follow up mainly on the things that Alex has just been talking about. I'll try and keep myself to 10 minutes. That's always a difficult thing. I also want to really speak to this banner here, which is about celebrating the 40th anniversary of the GRC, and the actual role that the GRC has played in the sorts of things that Alex has been talking about. So first of all, Alex was talking about age tech. What do we actually mean by age tech? So we're using this word now to talk about existing and emerging technologies to support the health and well-being of people as we get older, including digital media, information communication technologies, mobile technologies, wearables, smart homes, robotics, etc., with the aim of, can we help older people to stay healthy and active, increase their safety and security, and support independent living, aging in place, reducing isolation. More broadly, we can also conceptualize age tech as the intersection between longevity and technological change, a much broader perspective on that. And I do believe that brings in a much wider interdisciplinary perspective, including social scientists, looking at issues such as access and use of technology, issues such as the digital divide, etc., which is really important. So age tech isn't just about engineers coming up with fancy solutions to the so-called problems of old age. So as I said, I want to celebrate age tech research at SFU. Talk a little bit about the Gerontology Research Center. Alex has covered the AgeWell network of centers of excellence. I won't talk too much. And what we're currently doing at the Science and Technology for Aging Research Institute here at SFU. Now, one word which appeared this morning in Judith Phillips's talk was the word trailblazer, right? And I'd just like to highlight that we've got one hell of a trailblazer just sitting right there, which is Gloria Gutman, right? If people who weren't around, the 1970s and the 80s were an amazing time in the field of gerontology. Lots of things were happening. In the 1980s, we saw the emergence of a number of research institutes around the world. Myself, I was part of the Age Concern Institute of Gerontology at University of London, and Gloria set up the GRC here in 1983 and was a huge source of inspiration to people such as myself at the time. So I just wanted to flag that up, just what a trailblazer somebody like Gloria was in there. For example, setting up the Tong Lui Living Lab here with a real focus on innovation, a real focus on real-world impact, looking at how we can develop technologies, design things, build better and more appropriate living spaces for people as we grow older. So it was a fantastic opportunity for me to head up the GRC in 2007 and come over here to be director of the GRC and also to make Vancouver my home. I stepped down in 2016 and set up the STAR Institute to focus specifically on research and innovation in age tech. So I just wanted to speak very quickly about some of the achievements over the years. And then when I started to think about this, there's no way I can go over everything that's been happening here at SFU. But I'd just like to highlight a couple of things. Firstly, the GRC's global leadership in the field of age tech. So, for example, people may remember that SFU hosted the World Conference of the International Society of Gerontechnology in 2010, probably the most successful of the conferences that we've had at the ISG. I was indeed president of the ISG 2014 to 16. Gloria is still on the executive committee of the ISG. And Meilan Fang, who is the Engagement and Education Director of the STAR Institute, is currently the General Secretary of the ISG. Just wanted to highlight the key role that we've been playing here at SFU in leading this field of age tech. At the other end of things, one of the big things which I think is which I've really tried to build on, and again, building on foundations that Gloria put in place, was about focusing on equity and inclusion, and particularly on working closely with older adults and caregivers in the community. So the STAR Institute is committed to ensuring age tech innovation is inclusive of everyone. So I just wanted to highlight a publication from about 2 years ago now called In Community, which was focusing on information and referral systems for seniors in British Columbia. This publication was a critical catalyst that argued that addressing the digital divide through low-cost access to internet and mobile data is essential for equal social participation. I think as we become more and more technology-mediated within society, without having access and use of technology, we're really going to be suffering. And we're hearing more and more about the digital determinants of health outcomes. So the work that we did with the Seniors 411 Society here in Vancouver allowed that society to successfully lobby TELUS to extend their low-cost Internet for Good program to low-income older adults. So a really great example of how on-the-ground research can lead to real-world impact. Okay, you've seen another version of this. Mine's out of date. Alex is more up to date and includes the right statistics. I'm not going to say too much about Age Well. As Alex mentioned, I was the co-funder of Age Well with Alex Mihalida, co-founder. Autocorrect got that one wrong. It was co-founder of, not co-funder, of Age Well with Alex. With the idea, and I was chatting to Anne-Martin Matthews earlier today, about the real big challenge in this area is to take Canada away from this concept that Canada is merely about pilot projects. That we've got to change that and really focus on not just the research, not just on the pilot projects, but pushing that agenda forward to really make the great research that we're doing turn into real-world products and services. And that's what we've been doing very much with Age Well right from the start. And Alex mentioned the whole range of activities that's involved here. And really this is about joined up thinking. It's not just about doing the research, not just about doing startups, et cetera, et cetera. These have got to be connected in a very organic way. I just wanted to highlight that the GRC was absolutely fundamental to setting up Age Well. So all the things that you see here is a legacy of the Gerontology Research Center. We didn't just wave a magic wand and make this happen, right? Well, we did produce a research proposal, but that built on a huge legacy of research that was done here at SFU and equally over, particularly over in Toronto with University of Toronto and the University Health Network. So the GRC was fundamental to the setting up of Age Well. We've always been a core facility supporting many of the activities being carried out across Canada and really supporting a lot of the work that is developing the research, training, and innovation programs. For example, the 8 challenge areas that Alex highlighted today is that SFU was really, and the GRC, and the STAR Institute were really very important in doing that. Also, just to highlight the legacy of all this for BC, Alex mentioned Circle Innovation, one of the innovation hubs that is being funded in the CIF5 program. The CTAN Innovation Hub up at Prince George, again, that's being funded by the CIF5 program. And also work being done across SFU and other BC universities. I'd just like to pick out a few, such as the new Institute of Neuroscience and Neurotechnology, headed by Randy McIntosh at SFU. The work being done by Carolyn Sparry in mechatronics. The work that is being done by Sylvain Moreno in the School of Interactive Arts and Technology. Again, all these is a legacy of the things that, that Gloria put in place. So, I just wanted to very quickly talk about some of the future directions for Age Tech. So, over the next 5 years, the STAR Institute is embarking on an ambitious program of work that will push the boundaries of age tech research innovation across 5 themes. I just want to highlight a couple of these. Firstly, what I call the global age tech agenda. So Canada is a world leader now in age tech, but it's essential to see age tech in the context of global level technological, social, and economic trends. So age tech has to connect with initiatives such as the United Nations Strategic Development Goals, the Decade of Healthy Aging, et cetera, as well as responding to some of the global megatrends, such as population growth in the global south, rapid urbanization, international migration, climate change, and the continued marginalization of the global south. This is critical for the future of this planet, and we need to understand the role of technology within that. Just to highlight the issue of climate change, Judith Phillips mentioned that this morning. This is obviously something we're very aware of and increasingly aware of. So we're starting to collaborate with partners in the UK and Brazil to develop an agenda around age tech and climate change. One final thing which I just wanted to highlight here is the issue of age tech and ethics. While we see technology broadly in a positive light, it also raises a number of challenges that we've got to be very aware of. Things around data security, data privacy, the way that technology can change the way we live our lives. This is very much a social science perspective. And bringing this ethical dimension into the development and the implementation of age tech in the future is crucial if we're going to have ethically appropriate technologies and that we're going to make these inclusive technologies. Okay, if people want to follow up on any of this, we have a booklet on the Star Institute website which highlights a lot of the work that we're doing. So I'll draw it to a conclusion there. Thank you very much.
I think you'll find very exciting. I also want to point out that the biographies of all our speakers are in your program. So if you haven't noticed that, we're making very short introductions so that we can spend our time on contact rather than on context and content rather than reading out long bios, but they're all there.
Thanks, Gloria. My name is Jamie Borisov. I'm the director of the Make Plus Applied Research Group at BCIT. And as I sat through a few talks here today, I noticed that my color scheme is going to really clash with everybody else's. This is a BCIT template being bright yellow. I hope it's not too too garish, and it really contrasts with the SFU color scheme here. But I have both these slides up here to talk about something that Andrew just briefly introduced, something called the Tong Lui Living Lab. This is a collaboration that was established in 1995, way before I was ever involved. I know Gloria was involved back then. I think Andrew Sexsmith was involved then as well, or shortly thereafter. Okay, and then it was reestablished, I think, or the terms were reestablished in 2000 again, and it was brought together. Let me just back up to. It was brought together with a generous endowment by Dr. Tong Lui, who is the head of the family behind the London Drugs companies and other ones as well in British Columbia. And it's a collaboration between SFU and BCIT, all around enhancing independent living and quality of life for older adults, and primarily thinking about technology innovations and the person-environment fit. We used to have a lab here called the Living Lab at the downtown campus here. BCIT has a downtown campus as well here, along with SFU. That was moved maybe about a half a dozen years ago to our BCIT's main campus now, where it is housed now in our Make Plus Applied Research Group, and that's at the Center for Applied Research at BCIT. It's been expanded, or at least it's been integrated into our expanded facilities, where we have motion capture and prototyping and all sorts of evaluation technologies and prototyping facilities there. And what we do at BCIT is partner with companies and other academic partners to do applied research projects for companies that don't have in-house resources. Perhaps they don't have the people, or they don't have the technologies or the equipment to do medical device prototyping, for instance, or evaluating how those technologies work with their target consumers. So that's what we do at BCIT, and I'm going to now tell you about two projects that have been along the themes of the Tong Lui Living Lab, one from the past and one that is just started now with our collaborators, with Andrew and Gloria and a few others here in this kind of renewed collaboration. And a lot of what we do at BCIT in this theme of older adults and technology is around co-creation. It's another word for co-design or patient-centered design. People have different versions of it. I just have this quick graphic up here, which has been taken from the Stanford Design Lab, how they think of co-design or co-creation. It's a kind of a 5-phase process. Some people have 6 steps. But the important thing is here it goes from the beginning and thinking about the problem with stakeholders to then testing it with those same stakeholders and then iterating it as we learn more. And I'm going to take you through a project very quickly here and highlight all 5 of those phases. And this is a project that started at Make Plus when an individual inventor came to us who had an idea for a new walker. And he had this idea after watching his aging parents use walkers and seeing some of the difficulties and challenges they had. And his main idea was around this idea that wouldn't walkers be great if you could also have your hands free when using them? And that was kind of the impetus for the beginning of this project, where he engaged us to, again, start at the very beginning, though, and that was his idea. He wasn't sure if it would resonate with older adults. So what we do when we start a project is we go right to the end, so to speak, of who are those potential consumers, who are those potential end users for a particular technology, and let's get them in the room right away at the beginning. And so, stakeholder engagement has been talked about already this afternoon. So we ask them what challenges are they having doing certain tasks. We love to get existing solutions. We have, if you come to our lab at BCIT, you'll see all sorts of different walkers, wheelchairs, different types of technologies. We're doing a lot of work right now in exercise machines, and so we have all sorts of current exercise machines as well to really understand how they work or don't work well for particular stakeholders. And ideally, if we have a first mock-up or a first prototype, we'll get impressions as well from users. And then we try to kind of collate and synthesize what we learned from that, and then really define the problem. We don't want to develop a new technology that has all these bells and whistles that aren't going to make a difference to the actual people that are using them. So we kind of try to drill down and figure out what was really needed in the design phase. And as I said at the beginning, the most important one here was hands-free operation. And then during this process, we create this giant spreadsheet with these very specific and very measurable requirements, we call them, things that at the end, when we have a prototype, we can actually measure in some way whether we met those requirements. I'm not going to show you that spreadsheet, and in this case, the really key one here was, can we create a walker that has hands-free operation? The next phase of the process is making concepts, ideation, and just coming up with a whole bunch of different ways to do that, to solve those problems. And this is where the engineers and the designers really love it, where we get to be creative and come up with a whole bunch of different ways to tackle the problem. And in the end, during one of these iterations, one of these phases, we will then take one of those concepts and actually prototype it, actually fabricate it. And this is a big strength of ours at BCIT. We have about a 20,000 square foot machine shop with all the latest tools for building things. And we get to, again, have a lot of fun here creating prototypes and making very product-looking devices to then take it to the final phase in one cycle anyways, where we gotta actually test it and evaluate how such a product or prototype in this case might work with the intended end user. The middle picture would be an example of a early stage prototype. The one picture on the right would be an example of a very late stage prototype in this case, and you can see kind of the difference between the two, how polished one is compared to the other one. And I'm just going to show you the kind of the end now, where this company, they're called BQB, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning, where they have, here's an older adult.
Or pick things up from the table, or do things on the stovetop or in the refrigerator, which you can't do with the ordinary walker or a cane, because a cane would only leave you one hand, the walker doesn't leave you any hands. So it gives you the use of your hands. That's really its most valuable feature.
And what you don't see there is that there's a seat under her that can flip out of the way when she wants it or doesn't want it, and also makes it very easy to get into and to step into and move out of as well when she doesn't need it or isn't using it anymore. So that's was a great little project. I just noticed, I was checking it, BQB has updated their website, and I think they were a bit quiet during COVID, as many small companies were, and it seems to be that they've been a little bit renewed now and are getting back to bringing these products to the market. Now I'm going to change gears and tell you about a current project that a bunch of us in the room now are involved with, including Andrew and Gloria and Habib, and a couple of the HQP, Sogol and Delhi as well, that are actually doing the work. And it's around this concept of wheelchair add-ons. And I purposely chose these pictures of wheelchair add-ons. And Gloria, don't give me a hard time here, because I know they're not older adults. But I chose these pictures because these are these relatively new products in the manual wheelchair industry and market that are kind of really were designed and are completely marketed to younger adults. Actually, they're marketed to people like myself, who are manual wheelchair users in the community, independent, taking kids to and from school and going to work, and doing all those things in the community, which has a whole kind of class of wheelchair and wheelchair products for that market. And what I'm highlighting here with these pictures are power assist add-ons specifically. The one on the left is called the Smart Drive. It's a very innovative product that attaches to the back of your manual wheelchair and gives you a bit of a push to move you forward. And the one on the right, an example of which I have beside the stage here, if anyone's interested, that when I was coming here this morning, I live in Kitsilano, just over the Burrard Street Bridge, and I was like, I'm going to be talking about this. Why don't I bring this device with me? And I just came up the local protected bike paths from Kitsilano over the Burrard Street Bridge here in about probably just under 20 minutes. It would have took me about 12 minutes to drive, plus park on both sides. So it's pretty much probably the same amount of time for me to get here using that thing as it would have been in my car. And that's kind of what that one, and that is shown on the right here, that with that front end attachment. It turns your manual wheelchair into like a power 3-wheel scooter. And that device that this fellow sitting in or using here can probably go about 30 kilometers an hour. The one I have beside the stage goes about 25 kilometers an hour. So it's quite a bit different from these products that are the ones that are kind of designed and marketed for older adults, like the scooter on the right, for instance. Everybody knows what those are and has seen those, and they certainly don't go 25 to 30 kilometers an hour. They have all sorts of drawbacks, but again, very, very important in their niche and the reason that they've been made. On the wheelchair side, that's an example of I guess a standard folding chair with push handles for an older adult. But what's interesting now is that we and others think that these power assist add-ons might have a lot of utility for older adults. And so that's when we started this project, and we started out doing a scoping review. And as soon as we think we'll move on to interviews and hopefully do some trials with some older adults and getting them into some of these products and trying them out. And during this phase of the project, we we connected with Permobil, one of the giant companies in this space, multinational, really probably the biggest one right now in this area, that they are the owners and makers of the smart drive. Anecdotally now, they're starting to see their salespeople and the clinicians in the community starting to use the smart drive product now with older adults, or at least trying it out now. And there's some challenges, and a lot of the challenges are around control. These products aren't easy to control, like a scooter is, for instance, with a simple lever type of throttle. Perhaps cognitive challenges too with using these products. So it's not just an obvious transition to certain to this community, and it's something that Permobil is really interested in because they're seeing it happen and they want to learn more about it and to figure out the limitations, obviously, but more importantly, the ideal candidates for their products. And I have here at the bottom here, I'm talking about independent use. There will be some older adults that can use these independently, no problem. And there's probably also utility for a product like this to be used with caregivers as well. And there are other ones on the market that are designed specifically to power a manual wheelchair. And I would point you to the airport, actually. Vancouver has some of these devices on manual wheelchairs at the airport. They're relatively large, they're heavy, they clamp on almost semi-permanently to a manual wheelchair, but someone can walk behind the chair and push the person in it around the airport. The smart drive might be able to do that as well, and also have the advantage where you can, in just a few seconds, remove it from the chair. It weighs maybe 4 kilograms, 5 kilograms, put it in the car, and then put the wheelchair in the car right behind it, right? So it's a portable solution, one designed to really expand the opportunities in the community for people. And so that's where we're going with this with this project, with the Tong Lui Living Lab. And I thought I would end with this one, which is some of the work that I've been doing as well in our lab with what I call high-powered add-ons. And this is now me in my wheelchair. It's almost the exact wheelchair I'm sitting in here up on the stage, but now it has 3 motors on it and fat tires and about 6 times the power of an e-bike, and able to go on that Sun Peaks mountain in Kamloops, if anyone recognizes that, and get through snow, and it works on the beach and all sorts of different different environments. All of a sudden opens up now for someone in a manual wheelchair. And will these work for older adults? They'll definitely work for some, and we would love to kind of see that happen. So I'm going to stop there, and I know we'll take questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jie Liang. I'm a professor at SFU Engineering Science, also president of a startup company, AutumnView. So thanks Gloria inviting me to this session. It's my honor to speak after Alex and Andrew. In fact, we are also a very active member of AJWell. We attended the 2019 AJWell National Innovation Challenge. We were one of the finalists before the pandemic. Also, I remember in that year I visited Andrew. We had a discussion about our product. One advice Andrew gave me at that time was, it's really difficult to develop a product for senior care. I didn't understand at that time. Now I really know how difficult it is. So our company was founded in 2016. Because my own research is in image and video processing and AI. So we, at the first few two years, we spent the time working on many different projects. Eventually, in 2018, we started to focus on senior care. So I believe we are one of the earliest AI company in the world dedicated to senior care. Okay, and so far we have filed more than 10 different patents, and 10 of them has been granted in US. And so we try to solve two challenges. One is the aging population challenge. Everybody know about that now. Okay, and we all know senior people, especially those living alone, face many threats to their health and safety. Okay, but currently there's really no good solution to take care of those seniors while protecting their privacy, which is a very important factor. Another thing we try to address is remote patient monitoring, right? Because many senior people have various chronic and behavior disease. And so now many countries in the world is moving to the value-based healthcare system. So there is a growing demand for remote patient monitoring. This is especially true after the pandemic. But currently, most of the sensors used at home only take some basic vital signal, and certainly we need more than that. So since 2018, we have been developing our system, which include a smart sensor in the front, a mobile app, and also a cloud server. So through the last 5 or 6 years, we have developed 3 generations of hardware. We reduced the hardware cost by more than 10 times, making it very affordable now. This month, we are going to launch a 3rd generation sensor at Amazon and our website as well. So in 2021, we received the CES Innovation Award honorary. CES is the largest consumer electronics show in the world. So basically, the most important component of our system is a smart sensor. We call this Sentinel. It has a built-in AI sensor which can run many powerful deep learning algorithms to recognize people, object, and so the most important difference from the traditional camera is that we take care of people's privacy, we convert people's video into stick figure, and we only transmit the stick figure out of the sensor. So this makes it possible to use this anywhere in the room. Our customer use this in the bedroom, in the bathroom, because that's where most of the accidents happen for senior people. Okay, and in the sensor, we implement algorithm to detect many emergencies, such as fall, waving for help, even wandering of people with dementia based on face recognition. We also have fall risk assessment in the sensor. And so we started with fall detection, but quickly we realized that fall detection alone is not enough to make this a good product, because fall doesn't happen every day. So in the last 3 years, we spent a lot of effort trying to make this product valuable in a daily basis. So for example, we collect the daily activity statistics of each person based on face recognition and action recognition. So each day we have this statistic or snapshot about how much time they spend standing, sitting, lying, and so on. By quickly looking at this daily pattern, you can easily identify if there is any change to their normal routine. So this can help us identify some abnormal things earlier. We also have very flexible region of interest monitoring feature. We can detect wandering of people with dementia. We can have overstay detection, absence detection. Also, another unique property of our sensor, because we only transmit a stick figure out of the sensor instead of video. So amount of data we transmit to the server is very, very small compared to traditional video. So this allows us to save long-term activity data and do a lot of behavior analysis in the cloud. So we are the only company in the world that accumulated a large amount of behavior data in terms of stick figure data. So in the future, we plan to work with many doctors to develop more behavior analysis in the cloud, starting from the daily activities such as eating, drinking, cooking, In the future, we even plan to do early identification of some behavior disease, such as Parkinson's, dementia, autism, not just for senior, but also for other type of patients. So compared to other product, we have a lot of advantages. We believe this product can be very valuable for all stakeholders in the value-based healthcare system. So as Andrew mentioned, one of the goals of AgeWell is to promote a commercial product. So I'm happy to see our product is already a commercial product. In fact, last year we were very lucky to be selected by Amazon as one of the only 3 fall detection devices in their Alexa Together emergency service. So basically, this is based on the Alexa speaker. They provide emergency help to senior people. Senior can say, hey, Alexa, I need help. But if they fall and lose conscious, the Alexa speaker doesn't do anything. So they integrated 3 products. One of them is a radar device from Israel. The other one is a traditional panic button from US. We are the only company from Canada. I'm happy we get the best review so far, even though we will join the system half years later than them. So this gave us a lot of publicity. We didn't have to spend too much money on marketing. People can already find us from the Alexa Together page. So our sales start to grow very quickly from last year. So our success at Amazon Alexa Together also bring a lot of B2B customers to us, not just in senior care, but also in remote patient monitoring and in some other special application we never imagined before. So one of the examples here is a syrup service. So this is a big company in US providing service to patients with IDD, intellectual and developmental disability. Those are children with Down syndrome, autism, things like that. And they found our product to be the only product that can meet their requirement to monitor the behavior of those patients while respecting their privacy. Another example is Care Life. This is part of a very famous innovation hub in Utah called How Labs. So they are also using our product in long-term care center. Recently, we got a very surprise big order from Australia. So I did some research and found that Australia government is actually planning a very big reform to their senior care policy, similar to what Canada is doing. So that's why this company, they bought 50 units from us at the beginning, and they are trying to introduce our product to Australia government market. So our product also used by some long-term care center in Canada, including Baycrest and Sligo Village. Those are the 2 well-known facilities in Toronto. We also have customers in Japan and many other countries. So recently, our product also got attention from some social influencers. So this lady has over 100,000 followers on Instagram. Those are people with parents with dementia at home. So they recommend our product. Our sales basically increase a lot. And recently, we are also selected as one of only 5 Canadian companies to visit the UK very soon. As part of the UK-Canada AgeTech Innovation Program. Okay, so these are our future plans. So we are going to introduce a new product very soon. In the future, we will introduce more algorithm in the cloud to do more action analysis. So thank you. We have. I have a demo in the back, so please stop by if you have time.
Yeah, we just have a few minutes for questions. Please jump up here quickly.
Hi, it's Louis again. A quick question to the panel, really. I run a seniors care facilities in Burnaby, and I'm in the last few months being faced with a lot of companies wanting me to try their sensors to do their heart rates, blood pressures, and it's all being collected in a number of servers. And you think about it, all these measurements are part of the medical record. So all of a sudden, parts of the medical record are lying in Toronto, Calgary, and it's all over the place. And there's no sense of standards of bringing these things together, because I think a lot of the companies are kind of trying to see if this stuff works, but continuous monitoring to some extent I don't think may be necessary. I mean, taking a blood pressure or heart rate every minute may be the same measurement over the hours. So, those are the type of questions I wanted to ask the panel. Is there anything around setting new standards for these new sensor companies, just like the last one, where they are monitoring behaviors? So it's important information. So
there are some initiatives on developing standards around these kinds of technologies, which are, for example, Alex Mihalidis has been on a panel that has been involved in developing standards, but they're at a very early stage. And typically in this sector, these voluntary standards, they're not sort of regulations as such. So there's issues around that. But you have highlighted a number of things around people's attitudes towards technology. We see technology as a simple solution to a complex problem. And it's not always the case, especially when we're dealing with real people in real situations. People are very mistrusting of technology, and particularly when people are collecting data about them. So it's about doing that in as safe a way as possible, and really building confidence in a product. And maybe my colleague here might be able to talk a little bit about that, and to try and build that sense of trust between the user and the service provider. And that's always going to be a challenge. It's not just about the technology. I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, that's a very good question. In fact, that's one of the problems we faced when we first developed this product a few years ago. We talked to some long-term care facility. They were very suspicious about how it works, whether it's secure enough or private enough. So luckily, we were selected by Amazon last year, and we found it's a lot easier for us to get into the consumer market, because we only need to convince the adult and their children, right? So that's all. But then we got some very good review. This review turned out to be very useful, because it can convince other B2B customer to try our product, right? So eventually, I think the entire industry and the sector need to convince the government to change some of the regulation. In fact, we found from our experience, it's the most difficult part for us is to get into Canadian public long-term care facility. Right? So that's why we basically gave up. Fortunately, we made some progress in US and some other countries.